Everyone, we're going to get started. I'd like to call the Hammond Redevelopment, this special meeting to order. It's Wednesday, October 24th, 2018. It's now 4:30. Can you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence after? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Commissioner. Can we have a roll call?
Soto Presley, Castricki,
Here.
Cabejas, Myrick,
Here.
Alpert.
Here, for the record, we have 3 present and 2 absent. Number 3, declaration of conflict of interest. Okay, number 4 is approval of purchase and donation agreement with Sam Townline Development Incorporated.
Commissioners, you have in your packet the purchase and donation agreement with Sam Townline. That document is for the land where we established the state line allocation area. The total size of that is about 67 acres. The purchase and donation agreement provides that we will be purchasing right around 5 acres from Sam Townline, who's the owner, and for $871,200. That is paid $435,000 at closing, and the balance paid on or before March 1st, 2019. The reason for the staggered payment is because our controller wanted it that way. She can move it into next year so that budgetary-wise she can pay half roughly now and half later. The donation piece is 39 acres, so we're getting a total of 44 acres for the appraised value of 5 acres, essentially. That is going to be that 44 acres that we're getting. Approximately 15 acres is, you'll recall, we had, if it was the last meeting or the meeting before, the data center folks bid on the ground lease, and we conditionally awarded that to them upon closing on this transaction and entering into a ground lease agreement. So of the 44 acres we're getting, approximately 15 of it will go to the data center folks in a ground lease, assuming we get that worked out. And then we will be constructing bike trails and things like that in there so that we can, utilize some of the rest of the property. We're looking for your approval for the agreement of the purchase and donation agreement. Additionally, what the remainder piece, you'll see number 5, approval of an option agreement. The remainder piece is roughly 23 acres, and we are getting an option to purchase the remaining 23 acres starting in January of 2023. You may say, why are we waiting 5 years for that? And the reason is that the owner, as part of the deal to sell us and donate the property, said, hey, on my 23 acres, I want to be able to see if I can develop it myself. Maybe the data center folks expand. He wants to have the opportunity to do that. He also said, and if I can't do that, I'd like to know that the city, has a use for this 23 acres, which of course we do. And had he, quite frankly, said, we're going to sell you the whole 67 acres, we probably would have jumped at it right away. But we're getting 44 acres for the price of 5, so I don't know that we can really complain too much. So we're essentially in the option agreement giving the owner 5 years to do and come up with a proposal for his 23 acres, and if he can't, then we have the right to buy it at the appraised value.
Is the price set on that?
It is set, and it's set at the appraised value today. So let's say, for instance, the data center folks knock it out of the park, which we hope they do. the appraised value of that land, that remaining 23 acres is going up. It's not going down, right? So we've set that price now because really we would have wanted it now. So I'm happy to answer any questions, but essentially we're looking to approve the purchase and donation agreement first and approve the option agreement. And this is sort of the first step in the overall data center project, because the next thing we'll be coming to you with, and I'm going to get to this in a second, might as well get to it now. We'd like a special meeting on November 1st, which is a week from today, or a week from tomorrow. I didn't want to do it a week from today because that's Halloween. A week from tomorrow, where the thought would be we'd be approving what has been a fairly lengthy negotiation on a development agreement for the data center. So as you sort of line up the dominoes and knock them down, the first thing is we've got to get this agreement done so that we own the land. The option agreement is part and parcel to that. Then we'll look for your approval on a development agreement, and then a ground lease, so that they have the development agreement and the ground lease, so that that should start. I know they're here and they're anxious to get moving. So that's the reason we've had a couple special meetings, this one included. But like I said, I'm happy to answer any other questions.
The owner hedging his bet with us is great play by him, but the fact that we're getting 39 acres for the price of 5 or whatever those numbers were, I guess it makes it okay by me.
Yeah, also, I think, I agree with you. It is a backstop for him, so to speak, that if everything kind of goes to heck, he's got a backstop, and I think that's a smart move on his part. But I also think it's a smart move on our part, because if he can't do anything with it and it's just sitting there and we have the desire to do it, to purchase, then we can pull the trigger as well, and we've locked in the price. So I think it protects both parties, and I think it's good for both parties, and I think ultimately the option agreement is probably going to be academic, because I think ultimately if what's done out there is what's proposed and what we all think is going to happen, the data center folks are going to want more property, and they're going to buy it directly from the owner, and it is what it is, which would be great because that's our allocation area and we would be getting more increment anyway.
Mr. President, that being said, I move for the approval of purchase and donation agreement with Sam Townline Development, Inc.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for the approval of purchase and donation agreement with Sam Townline Development Incorporated. A roll call, please.
Soto Presley, Pesperkey,
Yes.
Navejas, Myrick,
Yes.
Halbridge.
Yes. Motion passes 3 yes with 2 absent. All right, number 5 is approval of option agreement with Sam Townline Development Incorporated.
We don't need any further discussions. Mr. President, I make a motion for the approval of the option agreement with Sam Townline Development Incorporated.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for the approval of option agreement with Sam Townline Development Incorporated. We have a roll call on that.
Soto Presley, Pesperkey,
Yes.
Navejas, Myrick,
Yes.
Halbridge.
Yes. Motion passes 3 yes with 2 absent. Okay, number 6 is approval of declaration of covenants, conditions, and restrictions for Lost Marsh Estates.
So I need to kind of like recalibrate, because this is another project that we've been working on. You'll recall the 6 residential lots up at the golf course that we sold in the auction back in June. Those 4 of the 6 are set to close tomorrow, starting at like 2:30 in the afternoon at my office. The covenants that you have restrict some of the building materials and establish a homeowners association. And those are some of the things that the Port Authority had asked as part of that was part and parcel of the whole auction we had explained to owners that there were going to be these covenants, and we told them what the highlights were, but the actual formal document was never done. That has to be recorded before the deed is recorded transferring those 6 lots. So we're asking for your approval of the covenants so that those can be recorded tomorrow. Well, they won't be recorded tomorrow. They'll be recorded right before the deeds on those 4.
And that won't affect the closing or the...
Not if you approve them tonight.
I'm glad to see these covenants for those type of houses.
Yeah, I looked at this the other day when it was first delivered. I'm like, this is nice. This is nice, you know.
And it's for the protection of the 6 people buying, and they all knew when the auction started. I stood up and said, and I had bullet points, right? Here's what we're gonna want this square footage, we're gonna want, and we kind of went through that all. So we said, listen, if you're not good with all this, then don't bid, because this is what's gonna happen. And
that was my point. Could somebody say, you know what, whoa,
they all have copies of it already, and they're all happy about it, because it protects their investment.
Right.
So.
Mr. President, I move for the approval of declaration of covenants, conditions, and restrictions for Lost Marsh Estates.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for the approval of declaration of covenants, conditions, and restrictions for Lost Marsh Estates. We have a roll call on that, please.
Soto Presley, Tesbricki,
Yes.
Bejas, Myrick,
Yes.
Halpert.
Yes, motion passes. 3 yes, 2 absent. All right, number 7's resolution 13-2018, resolution providing optional temporary relocation assistance policy for the city of Hammond, Indiana, by and through its Department of Planning and Development.
Yes, we just ask for approval of this resolution to provide optional temporary relocation assistance for those who need it.
Yeah, we discussed this our last meeting. Mr. President, I make a motion for the approval of Resolution 13-2018, resolution providing an optional temporary relocation assistance policy for the city of Hammond, Indiana, by and through its Department of Planning and Development.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. There's no further questions or discussion. Roll call, please.
Soto Presley, Tesbricki,
Yes.
Bejas, Myrick,
Yes.
Halpert.
Yes, motion passes. 3 yes, 2 absent.
Thank you.
Number 8's new and unfinished business. If we don't have anything, then we just need a motion for that meeting for November 1st.
Right. November 1st at 4:30. That's all I got.
So moved.
That's plenty.
So move, yeah. Second.
Okay, can we have a roll call for the special meeting,
Soto
November
Presley,
1st, at 4:30?
Soto Presley, Tesbricki,
Yes.
Bejas, Myrick,
Yes.
Halpert.
Yes, motion passes. 3 yes, 2 absent.
And we will have a development agreement at that meeting.
I hope so.
If you can possibly get either an email or text to the 2 commissioners early, I know they'll get a packet, but this way they'll give them extra time to prepare for it. Okay, number 9's public comment. Anybody like to come forward? You got 3 minutes. You're more than welcome to speak now.
Is there a timeline on Lost Marsh Estates? I know we got to close them first, but...
Yeah, we got the closing first. I think the timeline is, and I'm doing this from recollection, I think the commitment was to build within 2 years of ownership. So, but I can tell you from talking to the folks that are the successful bidders, the 4 that are closing tomorrow all want to break ground in the spring. Now, I don't know about the 2 that are going to come hopefully by the first 2 weeks of November, so in the next 4 weeks we'll have them all closed, but the 4 that are closing tomorrow are anxious to get going. which will be great. I mean,
Yeah.
I should ask before, but how about the data center? I know we got a lot of hurdles yet, but it's,
they want to be open next summer, or end of next summer. They're pushing real hard. I think they want to start getting a shovel in the ground still before the snow flies this year, and which is why we're asking for special meetings and things to move it along.
understand.
If there's no one out there, then public comment is now closed. Number 10.
Mr. President, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Can you signify by aye?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Meeting is adjourned.